Hello, fellow TV Drek seekers. This is DS Lyons from the movie Blues. You know, it's been a rocky and, rocky road becoming a YouTube critic over the past couple months here. Didn't really think that after 6 seasons of podcasting in a relatively public sphere that I would encounter so much epic vitriol in the YouTube space, but my god, here we are. And no wonder this place is such a fucking war zone. YouTube is like if every person who ever corrected you online for using the wrong form of your got together and had a clan rally. Despite being bludgeoned for everything under the sun, from my thumbnails to my political leanings, to one guy even telling me that I fundamentally don't understand media, like I produced a 40-minute short film essay on a concise topic, compiled months of research and hundreds of different clips to support my case. And this guy is out here accusing me of, not understanding the basic tenets of being a human being. I'm not sure if he even thinks that I have eyes and a brain. Yet despite this reception feeling about as warm as the ice moon of Europa, I have decided to listen to the view count numbers and sparse but inspiring words of my peers and soldier on. So here we go. Time to, take my last 2 millisecond hairs of credibility and feed them to the pigs. Because today I'm going to go to bat for the cataclysmic shit show of a television program, the epic and cringe-inducing Idol. I want to state up front that I swear to God, especially after my Empire video, that I am not just trying to clickbait everyone. Okay, I mean, maybe I was a little bit with Empire, but I swear to insert fictional deity that I'm not going to try to piss anyone off here. I legit loved The Idol. My wife loved The Idol. We spent our downtime bopping around the house singing, "I'm a freak, yeah, you know I want it bad," pretty much all day long. But something funny happened on the way through HBO's hilariously short 5-episode run of The Idol. Because while the world laughed and threw rotten fruit at the Weeknd for 5 weeks, and while the entirety of the most likely fraught and insidious critical community all agreed that this show was irredeemable trash, a flower still managed to grow out of that heaping doo-doo pile. A flower that has been underestimated, misunderstood, discarded, and judged too soon as something that it simply wasn't. After the world turned its back on The Idol, the show evolved, prevailed, and turned into one of the greatest pieces of content on TV all year. But you wouldn't know that if you followed the boos and pitchforks of the crowd. You wouldn't know that if you wrote the show off after having seen too many butt cheeks and too many hardcore sex scenes. But I am here, I am proud, I'm a freak, yeah, and I'm ready to go to bat for The Idol. Oh, and warning up front, I simply cannot review this show without spoilers. In fact, the late-game plot developments of this show are a huge part of its overall genius. So if you had any inclination of watching The Idol totally untainted, then go do it now. Ignore the press, the articles, the controversies, and just watch 5 episodes of Prestige. Yeah, I said it, Prestige HBO/A24 goodness. If you need a pitch up front, the show is basically Showgirls by way of Euphoria.
Hey, bitch, you better be joking.
And it looks great, it sounds amazing, and is full of dope fucking tunes, bodacious bods, and a shocking layer of depth that half the world seems to be willfully ignoring right now so they can clutch their pearls in unison and act like the preacher from Footloose while a great show dances right past them. The Weeknd. I mean, the dude is a legend in the pop world right now. His music is a staple with every god-awful and imprisoned wedding band on the planet, and he's a damn talented musician and icon. But, that's got nothing to do with The Idol.
Are you fucking retarded?
People are accusing The Weeknd of everything under the sun when it comes to The Idol. That he's self-obsessed, that he is a narcissist of the highest degree, that he's a chauvinist pervert idiot savant, minus the savant who has basically torpedoed and ruined his own career by playing a character who is basically the cross-section of DJ from Hustle and Flow and Christian Grey. And this dogpiling on The Weeknd is honestly kind of funny. I mean, I truly enjoy when the karmic wave of the world washes over celebrities whose egos have inflated to the size of a quasar nebula. After all, I'm a YouTuber now, and what YouTuber doesn't love it when a rash of unending shit begins to pile up in the front yard of a person who absolutely fucking deserves it, and then some. But not to be the anti-cancel culture's cancellation and further cancellings, but everyone calling for the tar and feathering of The Weeknd is acting out of pure reactionism and frank ignorance.
I'm not.
Let me catch you looking at her again.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Let me catch you looking at her again. I'll fucking drag you down Rodeo while you're fucking just fucking stomp your fucking curb.
I'm sorry.
I'll fucking curb stomp you.
I'm sorry, I don't.
I'm not sure what you were interpreting, but...
Not to be the IT guy who tells you to turn your computer off and then back on, but have you honestly fucking watched the entire series? It's 5 episodes.
You can do it.
Just give it a shot before you melt down and take the biggest shit you possibly can on this guy. Let's start with the basics here. The Weeknd is playing Tedros, or Mauricio Jackson, a slick pimp who slithers into our titular pop queen Jocelyn's life as a toxic and abusive influence. This isn't some fictional villain created for the sake of masochism. This dude, this Tedros guy, this controlling and evil force in a burgeoning pop star's life, this is a real fucking person. This is something that actually happens, both in fictional media and in reality. While the examples of this could inhabit their own 900-hour video, there is a long and painful history of these all-encompassing outside negative forces destroying the life of a pure female starlet. I mean, I'm sure it does happen to male starlets all the time, but that's kind of its own separate and yucky territory, and for the relevance of this video's sake, I'm going to stick to examples that at least semi-resemble the idol here. Bobbi Brown surely turned Whitney Houston's life completely upside down, and while she clung to him as her creative partner, their relationship's toxicity and a joined love of drug use ultimately led to Houston's downfall, creatively and physically. R. Kelly invaded the relatively unknown and innocent life of pop star Aaliyah, resulting in an underage marriage and all sorts of drama that seems to keep coming back up the more trouble Kelly gets into.
And I was just very close as my best friend.
Yeah, cool.
Now who found her? In the whole wide world.
I found Leah. As a matter of fact, Barry Hankerson, my manager, who's her uncle, told me to go up to Detroit and hear her sing. Once I got up to Detroit, I didn't have to hear her sing because she was glowing. I knew she had it. As soon as she started singing, that verified it. And from there, we became here, and everything is all good.
One of the more tragic and ringing examples of this kind of behavior comes from the horrific decline and tragic death of Brittany Murphy, who let a fat, sweaty, gaslighting clown move into her house, destroy her relationships, tank her career, destroy her mansion, and ultimately bleed her dry like a sweaty vampire. Sound familiar? Tina Turner had Ike. Selena had Yolanda Saldivar. I mean, people have been abusing and influencing and overtaking popular artists as far back as Judy Garland. There's a lengthy, troubled, and awful history of female artists and actresses being influenced, gaslit, abused, and controlled by men who have ill intent, their own greedy means, or even more nefarious, the ability to advance the performer's career, putting them into a deal with the devil that they thought they could not refuse. So how dare anyone support a series that enables a huge male pop star as one of these vicious and disgusting men? Oh, the cries of sympathy for poor Lily Rose Depp, who had to endure this abuse and exploitation. Poor women, poor Hollywood. How dare you, Sam Levinson, you fucking monster! No, stop this rhetoric train right now and tell Mr. Wilfred I want to get off. This isn't what The Idol is about. This isn't what Tedros is about. And if you think that this was a vanity project for The Weeknd to push some kind of misogynist S&M agenda, you're about as fucking off as anyone willing to say the best Star Wars movie is The Last Jedi.
Except, you make it on a salt planet, and then you say it's a salt planet 10 times so that people don't think that it's just the Ice Battle of Hoth all over again, when it's obviously just the Ice Battle of Hoth all over again. They totally should have killed Finn. They totally should have killed what's the name of the person everyone forgets? Rose. Everyone understands. They should have killed Rose. That would have at least given it some stakes.
He's out of line, but he's right.
If you watch the series, if you actually turn on the TV and concentrate on the idol past the boobies and the mansions, you will see a story that outright condemns, shames, humiliates, and emasculates Tedros.
I'm the one that pointed that out. I'm the one that pointed out the
You're a
coincidence.
fucking con man and a fraud.
Oh, shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was this whole fucking setup. This whole time, he had this crazy fucking plan, and it worked.
Fuck
know?
you, Jocelyn.
It worked.
Super LA shit.
Fuck you, Mike.
Fucking vampire.
You wanted to find a way into my life. You wanted me to hear your artists. I did. I like them. They can stay. You, on the other hand, can go.
The Idol is not a full send on this character. The Idol takes Tedros at the height of his influence on Jocelyn and absolutely trashes him.
Thank you.
You know he lost his club.
Fucking guy lost everything.
I mean, thank God he lost his
Even
club.
his rat tail they took. So maybe, we should send him a t-shirt. Fucking Holly saw a thing on TMZ, the IRS is going after him now.
Oh, yeah.
For what? I don't know.
But did you see the music video he made in 2011? You know, he was still rapping.
The one he shot in the parking lot of Carl's Jr.
You guys, we ruined him.
Ruined?
To everyone in every mob trying to burn the idol down for being a pig-headed male sex fantasy, did you get to the part of the show where it's revealed that Jocelyn is the one who's been pulling Tedros' strings this whole time? Did you reach the point at which the industry that Tedros thought he was controlling then cannibalizes, ruins, and demeans him to the point where he is a pathetic, clawing worm of a human being revealed to be nothing more than the remora fish who collects the detritus dropped by a shark, surviving on pitiful shreds of food left behind as it spends its entire life cleaning an alpha predator's teeth? The Idol isn't a story about a man draining a woman of her creative spirit. It's about a woman who radicalizes her abilities and cunning to the point of taking a shark like Tedros and reducing him to a can of fucking anchovies. By the end of this brief 5-hour series, Tedros goes from a human trafficking psychopath who takes over Jocelyn's entire sphere into a sniveling bottom feeder who is chewed up and spit out by Jocelyn for everything he's worth. When the idol reaches its crescendo, the Black Widow starlet has stripped Tedros of his wealth, power, respect, manhood, and even his creative cadre of players that he had cultivated over years of control. She uses Tedros, abuses him, turns him into a paranoid lunatic overwrought with jealousy, all while stealing every ounce of mojo that he seemingly has ever had as a creative force.
I think you're gay.
I ain't gay.
In Mauricio Jackson, we have a character and a performance of a man who is brought to his knees by his own arrogance and hubris. At the end of the day, The Weeknd deserves some level of recognition for taking the risk that he did here, and the amount of hate being slung in his direction seems frankly misguided.
You guys, we ruined him.
Mega producer and apparently mega blazer Mike Dean and The Weeknd constructed some really catchy, layered, and interesting music throughout the series. And The Weeknd put all of his worst angles up for the world to see as he played a tragic clown. You know, a lot of other pop stars, R&B, or rap artists probably wouldn't have taken a role like this.
I ain't gay.
And to those who are obsessed with the notion that The Weeknd can't act, well, neither could Vanilla Ice, or Mariah Carey, or Britney Spears, or Beyonce, or LL Cool J, or Rihanna, or Justin Timberlake, or Ludacris, or fucking Shaq. Or, God forbid, any professional ball player. And not one of those people would have played a role like this, nay, demanded to play a role like this. So I just don't understand why it's everyone's imperative to fucking shit on The Weeknd. Leave him alone. And if you're gonna attack The Weeknd, do it for the end credit song he had in Avatar: The Way of Water. I mean, that shit was fucking terrible. Not to be overly hyperbolic, but this kind of role seems like the sort of schlock that Prince would have done in a heartbeat in the 80s.
What do you know from knowledge? You ever been to Miami, baby? I have. Got some. Yeah, and they know more than you'll ever learn in your little small sheltered world. Yeah.
Really now? What any God knows?
Got some. Avez-vous un crayon?
And drag you down, Rodeo.
And the injection of The Weeknd's music throughout the show does often give off Purple Rain Jr. vibes, quality comparison notwithstanding. The long and short of it is that this was a risky, self-deprecating, provocative, and all-around ugly role for The Weeknd. And god damn it if he didn't give it his damnedest. Don't get the putrid vitriol, dude threw his back into it, got freaky as shit, and gave off radioactive levels of Short King energy throughout. And now with all this praise for The Weeknd behind me, it's now time to head off to the other half of our modern-day Sid and Nancy, the Queen Bee herself, Jocelyn. I'll be the first to admit that we see a lot of things in The Idol that some would find rather upsetting. I feel like I shouldn't bother to tell you that every situation Jocelyn is put into in this show is something that absolutely has happened, will happen, or is happening to female pop stars of today. although that should shut up anyone who says that this show is some kind of unrealistic farce. To combat this notion, I will first admit that The Idol is a fantasy. It is a farce, but not the kind that the press is trying to rip Sam Levinson and The Weeknd in half for. The Idol isn't a male gaze obsessed misogynist playground, it is a Me Too feminist masterpiece. Let me digress for a moment before a pitchfork slams through my windshield and decimates my face. The misunderstanding of The Idol is very reminiscent to other accidental feminist masterworks masquerading as male fantasy. When Showgirls came out, it was immediately written off as some kind of deep exploitation of its lead actress and females in general. But that film has garnered a huge heaping of respect from women across 2 generations when it comes to portraying female empowerment and freedom. 2 things that were being actively stifled by actual misogynists and wrong-headed feminists at the time who seemingly were keeping women sexually caged up in a box.
She's cute. There are different standards for cute people.
You mean no standards?
But truly the best example that I can think of that mirrors a bit of what the enigma is surrounding The Idol is American Psycho. When that novel and its subsequent film hit our cultural lexicon, it was banned, banished, admonished, and railed for being a pornographic male playground.
I did not have right-wing conservatives trying to boycott American Psycho. It was the New York Times and feminists. So it was a very misguided misreading of the text. People just saw the surface of it, and so a very misguided boycott began of the book, where people assumed a portrayal of misogyny is an act of misogyny.
Now, American Psycho is widely considered a deconstruction of the male ego to a degree that shames and calls out the shallow cruelty of disaffected testosterone. And while I'm not saying that The Idol quality-wise is on the level of something like American Psycho, my god, it's not. But the same groups of people that seem to miss the intent of that film are the same kinds of lunatics out there, screaming that The Weeknd should be arrested for playing Tedros. Jocelyn isn't the weak-minded, sexually exploited ragdoll that the critics of this show portray her as. Jocelyn is a fierce, calculated, sociopathic, power-hungry, artistic genius. I mean, the show tries to tell you this about 20 times an episode, from the opening of the series portraying Jocelyn's ready ability to change her emotions and morph like a chameleon. In this first brilliant set piece, Jocelyn bucks against the overly sensitive layers of control around her, in this case, an intimacy coordinator. While most people would assume that these coordinators are there to help women avoid exploitation, Jocelyn's Black Widow of a character won't even be controlled by systems meant to help her. Any control is control of her body, her music, and her career. And throughout the course of the show, Jocelyn declares her independence in every way imaginable. Creatively, sexually, artistically, everything. She constantly sticks it to her team of handlers. She sticks it to her assistants. She sticks it to the industry, to the memory of her maybe abusive mother, and ultimately she sticks it to Tedros and ruins him in every conceivable way. The final episode of The Idol, without outright ruining every plot point of the show, is a clear announcement that Jocelyn is the vampire. She is the one who knocks, not Tedros. It doesn't get any more obvious than when Tedros has to use his shameful real name, Mauricio Jackson, just to beg for a set of tickets to Jocelyn's show, a woman who he thought he had owned body and soul. And Lily, I mean, from an acting perspective, I can understand bashing The Weeknd here, sure, but Lily Rose Depp is doing the absolute Lord's work in The Idol. She went from yoga hosers to pulling off this unreal performance. She is powerful, she is meek, she is broken, she is strong, she is naive, she is wise, she is beautiful, she is ugly, she is abused, she is abusive, she is controlled, she is the controller, she is a motherfucking star, she is no one, she is everyone, she is Jocelyn. This is a character who we see utterly broken, who we see conquer the world around her effortlessly as she hides behind a wall of thin cigarettes and deceit. This is a multifaceted, brilliant, moving performance that will stick with me for a long time. She has the tenacity and sexual prowess of Naomi from Showgirls. She has the inner turmoil and drive for perfection like Nina from Black Swan. She is a reflection of every female pop star who has been battered and broken by a system set up to exploit them. It is a breathless and incredible performance, and its raunchiness and brash risks are to be rewarded, not condemned. To cap off these first 2 chapters, I think it's safe to say that both Lily Rose Depp and The Weeknd should be applauded for their efforts here. I don't think either of these two should be considered classically trained actors, yet they were both stripped naked conceptually and physically to the point where the bravery as true performers shines through. Both are exploited by the show in various ways and for various purposes, and they both play characters that seem to shirk the stereotypes that surround characters like this. Tedros and Jocelyn are both deeply rich characters, obsessed with power and how to exercise that power to get their means. In the case of the idol, Jocelyn plays the same game better than Tedros, and ultimately it is she that stands over the smoldering ashes of those who sought to bring her down. The Idol's strengths are not only in subverting expectations through raw and interesting character work, it's also a show that is being currently shat upon for its tone, its acting, its style, its visuals, its music, its pig-headed opulence. And I think that's somewhat valid. I mean, there's always a superficial layer of ick when Hollywood tries to look in on the glamorous life that they are currently living. To me, the show had a vibe and style that evoked giallo horror, to even a bit of the spaghetti western, with Mike Dean's downtrodden and unforgettable main theme seeming reminiscent of a theme you'd hear from Morricone. The closest show that I could compare The Idol to was the equally Italian-inspired masterpiece, The Young Pope, which, if you somehow have made it to this point of the video and have any sort of trust for my opinion, is one of the best series ever on HBO. Both that show and The Idol are shows about people who live in a world of absolute opulence. And by depicting that opulence, the creators of these shows are led into that old catch-22. Both these shows are an embracing, a reflection, and a condemnation of the super rich and disaffected moguls who populate the top of the social and wealth food chains. So yeah, I don't know, the whole accusation that this show's vibe is off for being about super rich pop stars, thus invoking the instant criticism that the show and its showmakers themselves are also vapid, rich, clueless sycophants who are unable to critique themselves. Making this kind of stuff and then being criticized for it is truly the snake eating its own tail, and it's an argument that might be valid. I don't know, I mean, Sam Levinson might be some sort of rich dick. Truly, it's not something I can comment on, but it isn't an instantly valid criticism of this show either. It's a dreamy Hollywood cautionary tale and has porno scenes and porno-level dialogue, and I thought it worked as well here as it did in Ty West's X, or any other recent attempt at modern-day schlock. Vibe check aside, I still think there's plenty to love in The Idol besides its ethereal nature. I just don't see how anyone can get so hung up on how good or bad The Weeknd's acting is when you're watching a fever dream of a series evocative of Italian cinema and some sort of washed-out LA nightmare. It's almost like railing on Naomi Watts' acting in Mulholland Drive. Like, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense to get hung up on.
Thank you, Irene. I was so excited, nervous. Sure great to have you to talk to.
Remember, I'll be watching for you on the big screen.
Okay, Irene.
The visuals in this series were once again masterfully handled by the same DP from Euphoria, Marcel Rev, under the insistence, once again from director Sam Levinson, to shoot on film, a combination that gives an operatic and generally ethereal mood to the series. There is an undeniable grungy B-movie quality to the proceedings here, and it's something I really vibed with. It was a provocative, edgy, and self-aware, self-obsessed pop masterpiece. Another great series to deal with the pangs of unbridled vanity like the equally delicious Pam and Tommy. I'll take white trash celebrity pop masterpieces fucking all day long, folks. You can have your stupid Air Dunks movie, your Flaming Hot Cheetos movie, your newest Nintendo-verse or Mattel-verse movie entry. Jesus Christ. I'll take the white trash, opulent, stylish nightmare masterpiece for $500, Alex. Give me this, give me Showgirls, I, Tonya, give me Spring Breakers, give me Red Rocket, give me The Assassination of Gianni Versace, Triangle of Sadness. I mean, shit that makes me able, even if only for a brief moment, to live the trashy, rich, and out-of-control fantasy that I so greatly deserve, but will probably never achieve, but help me do so by please liking and subscribing below. So we've got challenging and interesting characters being delivered by actors taking huge risks, a deep and rich visual palette, great music by some really talented artists, and a twist that recontextualizes the whole series and adds to the fever dream quality of the show. So what was the fucking problem here? What was worth taking such an epic shit over? Why is this the most toxic, evil, unholy piece of media to ever dare to be released into the wild? I mean, you could have seen this coming from a mile away. People are out to cancel Sam Levinson, y'all, and I don't know this man, and he hasn't been accused of any crimes as of July 2023. I mean, this dude is creating some cutting-edge and super meaningful art in an otherwise hellish mediascape populated solely by the most obscure and sinister IPs you could ever imagine. And again, like I said about The Weeknd, I am down to clown on a celebrity for no-ass reason, or for very good reason, but Sam Levinson doesn't cross that boundary for me. I kind of I don't know, enjoy his art. Euphoria is a gorgeous, haunting, also ethereal, and at times porn-level acted masterpiece. But I think that somewhere in the second season of that show, too many clickbait articles had been written about how much Sam Levinson wanted to just show boobs and Bush the entire show. And then that whole thing where Barbie Ferreira, trashed the show in the media and, probably got herself fired from Euphoria when she could have just, taken a little mini L, like us bigger folk have to take little mini L's all the time. You know, it's okay to be a background player, girl. They used to put ladies like you in movies only as Swiss masseuses. Anywho, my point is that the tides have been turning against this guy big time, and with so many different accusations about so many different levels of artistic and semi-sexual exploitation being levied at Levinson, it just wasn't the time for an S&M-laden torture masterpiece and comment on female exploitation to come out. So yeah, ill-timed, my dude. I guess the powder keg sort of detonated on him here, and everyone is piling on at maximum height and maximum speed. So R.I.P. I hope he proves everyone wrong with another, hopefully better season of Euphoria next time around. And while I wish I could get a second season of this show as the group goes on tour, I'm going to have to assume that this one is kaput for good. I loved the show for what it was, and shocked you didn't too. And it's even more of a shame because there are some great secondary players putting on some truly memorable performances in this show. Hank Azaria doing Jew-Face eventually evolves beyond a bit, and he ends up coming off as a fatherly but threatening presence in Joss's life.
And he looks inside. What do you think he sees in there?
I don't fucking know.
Well, he sees the big bad wolf asleep on the grandma's bed. I mean, like he fucking owns the house. He can't believe it. So he takes his shotgun, sticks it right between the wolf's eyes, and he's just about to pull the trigger. He's gonna do it, and he stops. He realizes, whoa, wait a minute. The grandma might still be alive in there. So he takes a scissors instead. He jams it into the wolf's guts, and it snip, snip, snip. So he keeps whipping the wolf open, the wolf's screaming. He don't care. Out comes the grandma and Little Red Riding Hood. They're holding hands, and there's not a scratch on their bodies. Thank God. So now's when the story gets really weird.
Rachel Senote, who is fantastic in the criminally underwatched masterpiece Shiva Baby, is terrific in the show, offering the audience a window into the anxiety and tension of some of the best set pieces in the series.
There's a lot of tequila in this, so it's a party.
Yeah, I know, the wood is teak, so I was just, what?
What's the fucking problem?
There's not a problem, I'm just...
You're ruining the whole fucking night, and you're still a fucking bitch.
Schlockmaster Eli Roth turns in maybe my favorite performance in the series. This dude is underrated as an actor, and I really enjoyed watching him have so much fun in this role.
Millions of dollars. Right now, she's making me have IBS. I'm fucking shit than a kid at Epstein's Island.
Like all great HBO runs, the show has its semi-bottle episode that sticks out for its tension and brutality. The pain of watching Joss do this goddamn dance over and over again is something that I found incredibly hard to stomach or forget. And that's pretty much it, folks. That's my take on The Idol. I mean, I'm trying to be as free from rhetoric and vitriol towards those involved, and I just want to share my excitement for something that I enjoyed. So yeah, for that reason, feel free to fucking tear me down. If I had something that I hated as much as this, I would do the same. I mean, burn it all the fuck down. Do what you gotta do to me here, folks. You pretty much already did last time, so keep it up. Anyway, I thought this show was a handsomely executed, haunting, provocative, and trashy goldmine. But what do I know? I don't even comprehend media. For the Movie Blues Show, I'm DS Lyons. Hi, thank you. Whew, did it again. This is going to be the last episode for a while as I'm shifting back into my podcast, the Movie Blues Podcast. Check it out on Spotify and iTunes, and give us a like here on the channel and check out our other episodes of the Movie Blues Show. Also, if you're into what you're hearing here, make sure to go to Facebook to go to the Movie Blues Rental Zone, which is a war zone that we have created to talk about the podcast, these videos, but also just to war about movies in general. So check that out. Put that in your Facebook browser. Movie Blues Rental Zone. You won't regret it. You can talk to us. We talk to people in there all the time. Okay. Love you all. Good night.